Welcome, this is the Beat London 103.6 FM. I'm Lukan online and I'm here with my special guest via Zoom. Actually, no, I like people to introduce themselves. So would you like to introduce yourselves individually to the listeners to the beat?
Well, collectively, we're Chris and Teeb.
Mm-hmm.
And you are? I'm Chris.
Mm-hmm.
Chris Grayson.
Mm-hmm. I'm Teeb.
Keyboard player.
Mm-hmm.
I'm Teeb, rhythmic god. You know what I mean? He's like, I like drums and whatnot. You know what I mean? Percussion.
Yeah. Okay. All right. And together, as you say, Chris and Teeb.
Yeah.
Nice. So, pointless asking how you came with that name. I think it's self-explanatory. We can work that out for ourselves. It's all right. It's cool.
Right. That's our names.
Yeah.
It's organic.
Basically,
we came together like Voltron.
Okay. So let's talk about talking about that, actually, how you came together. So the first obvious question would be, how did you two meet? Like, how did it happen?
Mutual friends.
Mm-hmm.
We both had the same group of friends that loved music as much as we did, but they saw our passion for music production specifically.
Yeah.
And they paired us up, and it was a wrap from there.
Okay, so how old were you both approximately, or if you don't want to say ages, then how long ago was it that you met?
Oh, no, that's cool. I was still in high school or fresh out of high school, right? When I met Burge, because Burge.
Yeah, you still I think a senior in high school.
Yeah, I think I was a senior in high school, and Chris had already graduated, and mutual friend Burge hooked us up. You know what I mean? We both was producers around the way.
Yeah.
So they just said, Burge always said I was missing something. So, I mean, I guess he heard Chris over top of it. You feel me?
But the rappers around the way said Teeb wasn't missing anything. Like when we were separate producers, we both was killing them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I guess what our first manager was saying was we were missing each other, honestly, because I had something special and Teeb had something special.
Yeah. So at this point, had you two even met before you actually brought together collectively? Like I'm assuming you were from around the same sort of area. Yeah. But had you actually met before you were brought together?
Yeah. Like I knew Chris, but I didn't know. I knew him for him playing live. So I was a fan of their band. He had a group.
Okay.
With another
Lonnie
mutual
Smalls.
Yeah, Lonnie Smalls with another mutual friend. So I used to always go to not always, I didn't go to everything, but I went when I could to their shows, and I was a fan. But I went to Charter Tech, so I was making, I was engineering at this time. So I was already engineering and making beats and stuff like that. But he was on the live circuit, like really getting, you know what I mean, really getting out there, but was making beats on the side. So I known him for the live part. I didn't really know he was making beats at this time.
Yeah.
But hold on, I just got to pause what Teeb said. Charter Tech is what is it, Teeb?
Performing Arts School?
Performing Arts High School.
Okay.
So that's what he's saying. He went to a high school where there was audio engineering taught in the classroom. There's dance taught in the classroom. There's musicianship, drums, keys, guitar taught in the classroom.
That was Teeb. So Chris, you didn't do that. You didn't go to the Performance Arts School.
No, it opened the year after I graduated. But I did go to school though.
Okay.
I interned in 99 and 2000. That's the year I graduated.
And what were you studying?
I graduated high school, so I was just regular, it was just regular.
So basically what you're saying to me is that Teeb was taught, but you're natural. That's what you're saying. You're just a natural.
No.
I'm joking.
I was about to say, I'm definitely trained.
Yeah,
but he went to school because he was in when I was in high school. He was interning for Rodney at the time, so he was already in the game.
Jerkins. No way. Okay.
Yeah. So that's his schooling. So he was already going through.
That's a pretty good school.
Yeah,
definitely. In the glory years too. 99 and 2000.
Yeah, crazy. Come on.
I've seen everything.
So Teeb, I'm going to come back to you in a second. So Chris, how do you get to intern for Rodney Jerkins? How does that happen?
Easy connections. My dad and his dad are friends. They're both pastors right down the street from each other. They both have churches right down the street from each other.
Then you had your little way in. Okay, all right. It worked out. Yeah.
My mom actually was like, "Do you want to do this, Chris?" And I'm like, "Yeah." She's like, "All right, we're gonna have a meeting with Bishop Jerkins." Okay.
Wow. Okay.
And then that's how I got in. It's that simple.
That was easy, isn't it? Yeah, it's all about who you know, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Teeb, what about you? Because obviously, in work, in being part of, well, the team that you're part of in terms of the schooling and the people that you're working with, there's a lot of sometimes inroads into industries that makes it slightly easier than anybody else from the outside. So, did you have any access to things that you benefited from your schooling?
Nah, just well, not from the schooling. No, just the knowledge that I got. Because
Yeah,
like, while Rodney, look at it like this, Rodney and them, they buying Pro Tools because
yeah.
Pro Tools is a new thing.
Hmm.
I'm learning how to use it in school at the same exact time.
Yeah.
So when I got out of high school, I hit the ground. I got my keyboard in my hand, and I'm running the studio to studio. So that's about as much access as I got to the industry per se before I met Chris. But I met Chris, and then I got more access. You know what I
Okay.
mean, to the industry.
So
And it wasn't because of me. It
yeah,
was because of our decision to
yeah,
unite
yeah,
and the brain power, the mind power, and the spirit power that comes along with that.
yeah. Fair. I hear it. Okay, so individually, you're doing your bits and pieces. You're working with artists, so you're meeting artists. They're liking your stuff. People on the other side, they're meeting you, liking your stuff. People are hearing Chris over there. People are hearing Teeb over there, and they're saying, "Well, actually, what? Why would it's like there's producers everywhere? Why would anyone think?" I'm not saying it's a bad decision, obviously, by the way, but as you know, there's producers everywhere. Why would you think no? That producer would work with that producer, and them two together would be like a match made in heaven. Like, why would anyone even think that?
I would give it to Verge. Verge
Yeah,
heard it.
he was a visionary.
Yeah,
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 Verge
okay,
heard it. He was
all right.
like, I remember him calling me like, "Yo, you need Chris, this boy Chris I got." And he just kept saying that. I
Mm,
didn't know he was talking about the Chris I had already knew
sure,
from watching. You
yeah,
know what I mean? Because we had mutual friends. Chris wasn't my friend.
mm,
Lonnie was the one I went to school with.
mm,
So I heard of Chris, but I didn't know he was talking about that Chris. He just
got it.
kept saying, "You got to meet this guy, Chris. He got all the sounds. He got the melodies. You got to meet him."
Mm,
Because all I had drums. And, you know what I mean? Just like I'm like Swiss. I can make just a drum track, and then rappers can start rapping like grinding. You know what I
yeah,
mean? So
yeah,
that's kind of my vibe. But
yeah,
Verge heard both of us, and his musical ear was like, "Oh, together it'll
mm,
be like Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis."
mm.
You know what
And
I mean?
that's
So he,
exactly what it ended up being, like the second coming.
And when this was put to you, how did you feel about it? Because I know sometimes some people they might think, well, no, I'm doing it right on my own. I don't need anybody around me. How was it?
I went and stole this. Well, let me tell you, I was working at Home Depot.
Mm-hmm.
So when Verge told me you gotta meet Chris, I went and got everything I needed to turn my room into a studio. So I
Okay.
went. I mean, I stole it. I got caught for it. I
You
already got
acquired it.
caught
Oh, you got
for it.
called for
Yeah, I got
it.
caught for it already. You know what I mean? But I had that. That's how dedicated I was at that time.
Yeah.
So you know what I mean. I had my friend come through with all
Yeah.
the carpet. We made the booth. We did
Mm-hmm.
everything we needed to do. So when
Mm-hmm.
Chris came through, I wanted to
Yeah.
make sure he felt like it was a studio.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
remember
Yeah.
him coming through, and I made up my mind when I heard him. I was
Mm,
like, "Oh my god,
mm,
yeah, play
mm,
that over top of this."
mm. Yeah. 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 Okay.
Yeah, you
All
know
right.
what I mean.
Yeah.
So and it was just it was a wrap from there.
I hear it. Don't worry about it. I've got loads of equipment here that I've acquired. So don't worry. I know how it works. It happens. It happens. It happens. Okay. So you got met up, and immediately it worked.
It did. It was
Yeah.
like a match. Like,
Okay. And so what was the move forward then? From then, you're working with various artists in your in from your area, from where you grew up and where you live in. What was the progression like? How did it move forward?
oh, I love this question because this is where we started practicing manifestation and we
Mm,
didn't even know it. We got in our mind a couple different artists that we wanted to work with.
mhm,
Sierra was one,
mhm.
Danity Kane was the other, and 50 Cent was the other.
At this point, let me just stop. At this point, you're not working with any artists of, let's say, of note, not be disrespectful, but of note that might know of already.
No artist at all.
Nope.
Yeah.
Right,
Okay.
right,
Right.
right. After we started that, we got close and we worked with Olivia, who was signed to 50 Cent.
Mhm,
And then from there, we went to New York together.
mhm,
After we got these artists in our minds,
mhm.
Standing in front of labels. One thing led to another. We met Ellie Reed's assistant. They met us. They introduced us to an A&R that introduced us to Rock Wilder, Grammy Award-winning producer. You know what I'm saying? Redman, Method Man, 50 Cent, Like My Style. You know what I mean? All of these different Beyonce, Bootylicious, all of this. He did all of that. So, you know, we linked with him, and when we walked in his house, songwriters, big draws, and he's like, yo, y'all got the light over y'all the ones. And then we just started working with him from there. And then it was like instantly, this is within maybe like a year and a half of me and Teeb meeting. Really? We got our first placement, Danity Kane. You feel me? Wow. Which I got a gold plaque for. We got a gold plaque for right there. All Sierra, right. You see that right there, right?
I see it flossing. Come on.
50 Cent. 50 Cent right there. Redman and Method Man, you know? And the list goes on and on and on. So like these things we had in our minds, we combined our power. And it happened.
What's it
we
like?
Just started to move.
What's it like walking into Rockwilder's house? Remember, you're just beginning. You're on your beginning steps. You've only been maybe at a few people's houses. You're just accustomed to what you're accustomed to. Now you're walking to Rockwilder's house, like his house. Like, what's that like? Like, his house ain't an ordinary house. I've not been there, and I know it's not an ordinary house.
You're right.
You know.
For me, it was. I just remember feeling anxious, not anxious in the bad way, but ready to play music. That's all I remember. Like, as you asking me the question, I'm going back. I just remember walking in and just being so hyped, like, he gotta hear what we got. Like, I just knew what it was. And then as soon as we got to playing music, that's when I finally relaxed.
Okay.
Because I knew once he started hearing this, it's a wrap.
Yeah.
Turned over, seen his face. I'm like, all right, we in there.
Yeah.
He was like, that's what I told. I knew he was gonna do that. Yeah. And then I finally was able to be me, you know. But that was my vision of it all.
But leading up to that, then that's a good point. So leading up to that, was there any doubts in either of your heads, thinking, yeah, we're good, but this is a level that are we ready? Like, were you questioning yourselves, or you knew that?
Nah, we knew we was ready to. We was ready to compete. Honestly, and we were able to, you know what I mean? We were put in rooms to be able, with the biggest producers, to be able to compete. You know what I mean? We got those kind of stories. So, I mean, in order to even get on these albums, you have to compete with the greatest producers, period. Their slots only available to them. And then everybody else is fighting for scraps. So it's like, nah, bro. It's very competitive, and we came in ready to just take over.
So there's a story about Scott Storch when he went to go and visit Dr. Dre, and he came in, he played a couple of keys or whatever he did. I can't remember the whole story. Dre walked back in and said, "Right, I want you to work," and he made him stay. Like, what after you played for Rockwilder, then what did he say? Did he say, "No, I need you to work with me," or what was it? How did it work after that?
What did he
stayed
say?
At his house for the next week.
Yeah, did you really? Okay.
He was like, "Y'all not leaving."
Yeah. We stayed. Wow. That was our thing. We went up there every Monday. We was at Rock Crib. We would go home on the weekends because we had we got families, so that's what it was. You know what I'm saying? And Monday through Friday.
In the hood now, you've made it. When you go back on the weekend, like me personally, like I'm probably wrong, but I'll go home. I'll be remember. You can't chat to me no more. Like, it's levels now. I'm not the same guy I was last weekend. I've been in Rockwilder's house. Like, I'm a different guy. Like, how was it with you going back home?
Well, at first it was like regular because we was always lit around the way. But it wasn't until we got on TV that's when it changed around the way. That's when it came like, all right, it's over. Like, they out of here.
Yeah, they had watch parties. Tell them what show you was on, T.
We was on Ron's house, and we was on Salt and Pepper show.
Okay, doing what?
So
we were the producers on both shows.
No way.
Yeah. Like, they got scenes with us. Yeah. So the runs on Ron's house, the season, the 2 seasons with what is it? Team Blackout. The Team Blackout.
So long ago, I can't remember, but I remember the show.
He was rapping.
The Suns group.
That's the Suns group with
okay.
JoJo Simmons.
Okay,
when he was rapping.
Okay.
before his little brother was rapping. We got footage with his little brother in our sessions learning. You know what I mean? Because his little brother started rapping later. But anyway, we did that whole album. So there's a bunch of scenes with us when he's in the studio. Oh, wow. Me and Chris are in the studio too. Yeah. And that's the same for Salt and Pepper. Salt and Pepper did a few records when they did the Salt and Pepper show. And that iconic scene when they was arguing in the studio. Stop yelling, boy. That iconic scene when they was arguing in the studio, we was the producers there looking confused. Yeah, so you see, they told us to look confused. Back then, over here, we didn't get all the good shows that you got. Like, it was very few and far between. So even Run's House, you'd be lucky to watch Run's House. But Salt and Pepper Show, never seen an episode. Like, wow. Back then, it was horrible. Trust me. Before, when cable was just coming out, if it weren't on our few channels, we weren't seeing nothing. Trust me. We were lucky to get Fresh Prince. What? Oh, that's my favorite though. Yeah.
Fresh Prince. Martin, did you get Martin?
So that was on cable. So if you had cable, and not everyone had cable, then you were lucky enough to get it. But only a few seasons, I think. So not much of it. It was horrible back then. It was horrible. But it's all changed now, so we can catch up. Like even I was watching a couple of months ago. I was watching the Jamie Foxx show. So I'd never seen it.
Wow.
Yeah. See, but there you go. But anyway, back to you guys. So, all right. So now you're on TV. People know that you lot are just out of here now, doing your own thing. You're big in the game. People love you. You're now almost superstars in your area. Do you stay where you are, or do you think, you know what, we now need to move because we need to elevate and move, and we're working with so many different people from so many different places?
We stayed, but it felt like we moved because we was always gone. Yeah. So like we was in LA for a year, so we spent more time in LA than we did home, but we didn't technically move. You get what I mean? Okay. Because we was going house to house, moving session to session, no place to stay.
The real success story of LA. You know?
Yeah, I hear it.
Being a couch potato, a couch jumper.
So what would you say was your first real piece of success? I know that you were also on the TV. I don't know if you would count that your first piece of success. I can't even talk. You would count that as your first piece of success. But if it wasn't, what would you say was the first time that you said, no, this is major?
Vanity Kane.
Yeah. Okay.
Our first placement. That's when we knew we could do it.
And what was that? Was that a platinum plaque I saw?
Well, this one's a gold one, but I think it did go platinum after I got the plaque.
Okay, but you haven't got the plaque yet.
No. We gotta order so many more plaques. It's crazy. Yeah.
How does it work with plaques? Because there's so many people that get plaques for each piece of work. Like, how do you have to request it, or are they just dished out? Like, how does it work?
You could order it. It's just they just got to get it. Everything got to get confirmed from whoever distributed the album. So if I wanted to get my 50 cent plaque, they would just have to call G Unit just to confirm that who I am.
Okay, cool. All right.
And then they would send me my plaque.
So after Danny Kane, then what happened after that? How did it progress? You're still producers. At this moment, you're not actually making any of your own music just yet. You're just producing.
Right.
So how did it, what were the next steps? How did it work?
It was Danity Kane, and they were on TV at the time, the making of the band, and, working on the second album, that Welcome to the Dollhouse, that was like completely televised. So that was big for us, for many different reasons. And then I think the next one was Redman and Method Man. We did one with on the Blackout 2 album, which is their last album.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So we were able to catch a little bit of history with that, the Dynamics duo. And then
and what's it like? I think everybody wants to know, what is it like being in a studio with Redman and Method Man?
Well, Redman we was in the studio with Red.
Oh, okay.
Red is the truth. Yeah.
Okay. Oh, right. So it wasn't the two of them together?
Nah, that wasn't there that day.
Oh, okay. All right. Because I can imagine, because obviously we don't know, but in most people's heads, you can't see anything. It's just fog, smoke everywhere. Like, is it bad like that?
We definitely were smoking. That was a dream come true.
Just Redman. Yeah.
I told Redman, I'm like, yo, how high is the reason why I started smoking, bro? So
really?
This is wild. And he was like, I'm glad I could do that for you, bro.
While he's lighting up. Yeah, okay. Yeah.
I remember where we was sitting when he said it too, King. That's crazy. We was in the office. We was in We was in
What's that Jay-Z's studio? What was that studio called? Baseline. We was in Baseline. Because Just Blaze was in the next room.
Oh wow, okay. What's your favorite song you've ever produced? For another artist?
You probably have two different answers for this, but you can go ahead, Teeb.
Okay.
That's it. I would say, because I mean, I don't know, because I don't want some of my favorite records is based upon us making it.
Yeah,
if that makes any sense. So like the Talia record, I wouldn't say that's my favorite musical record, but that's the best. Like us going to a different genre, working with somebody we didn't know any of the language. We was talking to people that spoke complete Spanish.
Yeah.
And we had translators on the phone, and we willed that placement. So that success right there, I remember. Yo, we got the placement, King. We got on Talia.
But that's fine, because it could be your favorite for any reason. It could be for sales. It could be for the moment. It could be anything. So, okay.
My favorite musical piece would be "Make Me Sick."
That's Sanity King.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Chris, what about you?
Yeah. So since you broke it down like that, T, I feel like one of the greatest moments for me was to be able to work with another one of our brothers by the name of Thomas Clay. He was in like the inspirational gospel genre, but he passed away shortly after we recorded his last single that's here, left here to remember him by. So, yeah, shout out to my bro, my heavenly angel, Thomas Clay. And that was probably like my greatest experience because we're all in one room. He's from my church side, you know what I mean? And Teeb, we got the industry friends and stuff like that. So to be able to bring both sides together for me, that was epic. And we're in the studio, we're just vibing, having a good, wholesome time as brothers. You know what I'm saying? That was great, man. And greatest musical piece. We got a couple, man, but in my mind right now, I would have to say, "Do You Think About Me?" 50 Cent, because how it was created, where it was created, and when we got the news. Yeah. So I'm gonna break it down real quick. So it was created in Salt and Pepper's house because we were living with her because her husband at the time was managing us. Okay. And Rockwaller was there in the basement. We in another studio in the basement. Yeah. And then I'm hearing this beat and Rock's like, yo, I need y'all to jump on this. Yeah. And, having a good time, just thinking nothing of it, just, planting seeds. So then we go home. We all at home for Thanksgiving. And Rockwaller calls us, yo, 50 Cent picked up Do You Think About Me? Sean Money just hit me and said it's confirmed. It's going to be a single.
Okay.
Crazy.
Real quick.
On Thanksgiving.
Real quick, I want to ask this question. So on that song, I always wonder about how producers' minds work. So did you think about like the high pitch in that? What makes you even think to do that?
That was Rock's idea. Yeah, that's a Rockwaller thing.
Okay, fair.
Do you think he got beats like that for days, like with like weird sounds? He the master of that. Yeah, Rockwaller pretty much invented the way like how to take a bunch of sound effects and make a beat. Okay, so that's the one thing I learned from him.
Let's fast forward to you two becoming artists in your own right. I am running out of time now, so I have to ask these questions real quick. You two becoming artists on your in your own right. What made you decide, no, actually, we're going to jump behind the mic. We're going to start doing this. We're going to start doing that.
You want to start it, Chris?
Yeah, I would have to say it was our own personal journeys of growth, separate and together, that made this happen for us. You know what I mean? We were on different spiritual paths, and then they merged once we we read this book together. It was a couple books that we read together, like at the same time, maybe not like reading line for line together, but one was, you know, the Law of Attraction, The Secret, and then the other was The Alchemist. So, you know, we got all these practices together, and we're like, we know we need to be here. And it happened. We got pictures and everything. We were looking, and it's like, yo, it happened. So we ended up exactly where we said we were going to be, maybe a couple months later. So we're like, this stuff is real. Yeah. And one thing led to another. I don't want to, you know, go detail for detail, but we saw the need in music because we're like, well, these are vibrations, notes are frequencies, and we have the power to be able to influence people on a higher level versus just getting them to dance. We can get them to dance with purpose. And, you know, you can take it from there, Teeb.
Yeah, pretty much. We just like he said, it started with us. We was making records to heal ourselves, and it worked. We started records like Money, for example. We would see unexpected money come in as we record the record, actually. And after that, it was up. We healing them. We not killing them. And we created a lane after that. Yeah, just kept it going.
So we're almost halfway through 2025. What can we expect from you both this year?
More music. Chris and Teeb, for sure. We dropping at least another album this year. Manifestation 3 should be coming this year. Other than that, our production side, we just dropped the album for Mellow Will. It's called The Whisper. We produced that whole album. And then we did we got 2 more albums coming this year. We did collab with Peachka and Mellow, and then something else I forgot. But we got a lot of music.
Yeah, it's a lot going on.
Yeah,
y'all can keep up with us. Y'all can definitely keep up with us at Chris and Teeb, or you know, Teeb from Chris and Teeb on TikTok, or Chris from Chris and Teeb, or, you know.
Brilliant, good stuff. Yeah, I'm sure the people will. And also, last question I want to ask you. Obviously, talking from the United Kingdom, how in tune are you with what's going on over here? Are there any artists that you like over here? Any artists that you'd love to be able to work with from the UK?
I want to work with Monita. You heard of Monita?
I haven't heard of Monita, no, but I'll look her up.
Yeah, Monita, high vibe artist. She from out there. I don't know if she's still out there. Is she still out there, Chris?
I think she went to study martial arts.
Martial arts?
Yeah, somewhere in China or something like that. But she's from the UK for sure.
She's from the UK, yeah.
Yeah, dope high vibe artist.
Monita. Okay, I'll check her out.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many dope artists there, and I'm glad because the couple times we have been there, I didn't have knowledge, but I ended up in rooms with people that were major. Like, you remember when the first time we went, we ended up with Big Nasty in our crib. You feel me? Like where we were staying at. And he's just rapping over every beat. You know what I'm saying? So I like going out there open-minded because there's so much talent. I don't want to be blinded by like, I need to get with this person because, and I'm admitting I don't have knowledge of what's going on over there.
You will soon. All right, I'm going to have to wrap it up because my message is saying I've got less than a minute and I don't want it to cut us off. So Chris and Teeb, listen, it's been a pleasure meeting you. Thank you very much for your time. It's been brilliant.